Hello and welcome to a special video which is for women over 50 or menopausal women, because during the summertime there are some tricky little things that we have to deal with, and so I've put together some of my top tips on how to manage them. So stay tuned to the end because I want to tell you about a special product which I've created as well. So let's get into this week's video. So there are three key areas that I want to talk about. As far as dressing is concerned, they are about fabrics and they are about shapes. And then the third section is about some of the little tricky, niggly issues, other issues, which aren't necessarily to do with getting dressed, but are to do with feeling confident during the summer. So the first one that I'm going to touch on is fabric. Fabrics are key in the summertime. They're actually key all year because different fabrics work better on different body shapes. But in the summertime, obviously, certain fabrics can make us feel an awful lot hotter and certain fabrics can make us feel much cooler. And if you are a menopausal woman, then you may be struggling with hot flushes as well. And I know what it's like during those summer months when it's really hot and you suddenly feel that furnace inside you turn on and you're burning up and it's really uncomfortable. So keeping cool is very important, and there are fabrics which will work better for you in the summertime than other fabrics do. Now this tends to be natural fabrics, and I'm including in natural fabrics things like Tencel and viscose because they are really popular now. They are really eco-friendly because they take less resources to produce, and they are made out of a natural fibre, which is basically wood pulp. And they can give you a really nice lightweight fabric. So this dress is a really good example. It's incredibly lightweight, it's very soft to wear on the skin, it's absolutely beautiful, it hangs really nicely, it's floaty, so that kind of fabric works really well on a hot day, even if you want to have a sleeve, and I am going to talk a little bit more about that. But so you can be quite covered up in something like this, but because it is so lightweight and floaty, it's going to be really comfortable. So I would definitely recommend Tencel viscose, and also a standard viscose, which again, this is a viscose, but it's kind of a more it's a little bit more sort of silk-like, and again that works really well. Now one thing I would say about this kind of viscose, which feels a bit more silky, is when you wash it, it's very likely that it will shrink. But don't panic, because when it dries and you press it, it will come back to its original shape. So don't be frightened about, most of these will wash on a 30-degree wash, so they're not, you don't have to wash them on a hot wash either. But again, this kind of viscose works really well in the summertime when it's hot. And then things like a lighter weight cotton. Again, this is a really nice sort of floaty cotton skirt. When I talk about shapes, I will talk about waistbands as well, but the elastic waist, again, it's not a really tight elastic waist, it's not a little piece of elastic or a thin piece of elastic. That broader, thicker elastic works well as well in the summer months, because it doesn't create such a sort of tiny space for you to get hot and sweaty in. Sorry to be so graphic, but I'm sure you understand. But so that does work much better if you have a nice wide band of elastic. And that kind of thing, although this skirt I love and it's really nice and floaty, it is made out of polyester. So polyester is really something to avoid on the very hottest days, because it's not a natural fibre, it doesn't breathe naturally, and so it is going to make you feel hotter. Also have a look for very lightweight cottons, and the White Company are really good at doing this kind of thing. I have also found a couple of pieces. I've got a lovely cotton lawn top from Masai. So have a look for those sort of much finer weight cottons, and in the same way have a look at these very lightweight sort of featherweight linens as well. What I will touch on here obviously is this kind of thing is quite sheer, and any other sort of very fine tops that you might want to wear, again, they're quite sheer. So you might be concerned about sort of seeing through them, and so with that kind of thing your underwear is really important. And I have a couple of different pieces of underwear that I want to recommend to you. The first one is a couple of bras, one which I have actually got on, which I wear all the time. It's a Panache bra, and it comes in kind of a flesh tone. There are a couple of other bras which I found which are sort of flesh toned and smooth as well, because you really need a nice sort of smooth fit underneath that kind of thing. You don't want sort of lumps and bumps of lace and bows and that kind of thing showing. You want nice smooth underwear. And I found another bra which is by Fantasy, and they do that in, I think, about 4 different flesh colours. So that's really great to wear underneath this kind of thing. And it's a misconception that you wear white underneath white. Actually, you do want to wear a flesh tone underneath white. It works much better. And I've also found some briefs as well. Again, there are some by Fantasy, and they're called the Smooth Ease. Now, I did find them in a couple of colours on John Lewis, and I will link those for you in the description box. There is another brand called Heist, which do flesh toned underwear in about 6 different shades. So they go right from a very, very pale skin tone through to a darker skin tone. And I'll link those for you as well. And the other thing about these briefs, which I really like, is that they are very smooth, they're seamless, they're high rise. So you're not going to see any lines cutting across the tummy or anything like that. They sit nice and smoothly underneath very fine fabric. So I would highly recommend those. And as I say, I will link them for you in the description box. So just talking about some other fabrics as well, I've mentioned about cotton and linen. Also this kind of thing, if you don't want to wear a dress or a skirt, if you're more of a trouser person, these cotton Capri trousers from Windsor, London are lovely and lightweight, and they have a little bit of a stretch in them as well. They wash and wear beautifully, and again they've got that really nice sort of flat wide waistband. They do zip up at the side, they're not elasticated, but they do sit nice and comfortably, and as I say, they have that little bit of stretch, little bit of give in them. So they're not the cheapest Capri pants. I have bought others from cheaper places like Marks and Spencer's. I used to buy them from Wallace, but they were a much heavier, thicker cotton, and I just found this kind of very soft, lightweight cotton works much better in the hotter summer months. And then obviously the other fabric which works really well in the summer is silk. I do like to have a pair of silk trousers, and these black silk trousers, again, a nice wide elasticated waistband, a tapered leg so that they, you know, you get a little bit of airflow through them. And these I wore to walk around in Boston on a really, really hot day, and they worked beautifully. It didn't get too hot in them at all. Both of these pairs I've had for quite a few years now. They're from Weekend Max Mara, and they do tend to do a silk print trouser each summertime. Obviously they're not cheap because they are Weekend Max Mara, but places like H&M do a silk trouser as well, a nice sort of drapey wide palazzo pant, which again is really comfortable on a hotter day. So I will link those for you, and I will link any that I can find from Weekend Max Mara as well. And then silk camisoles also are a staple in my wardrobe at this time of year. And again, obviously being a natural fibre, they do keep the body cooler as well. This one actually was from Pure Collection. It must be 6 years old now. It's been worn every single summer. With my silk pieces, I do wash them on the hand wash program in the washing machine, so don't be frightened about buying things in silk that you've got to hand wash them. If you have got a hand wash program, then it is a godsend. So definitely worth investing in a couple of pieces, especially if you have got occasions coming up that you want to get dressed for, it is worth having a few silk pieces in your wardrobe, even if you wouldn't normally wear them and would prefer to stick to the slightly less expensive cottons and viscoses. And then another fabric which is a little bit contentious is linen, because some people hate the fact that linen creases so badly. I'm a big linen fan. Linen is a beautiful fabric to wear in the summer because it breathes, it keeps the body cool, it's relaxed, it's comfortable. And if you look for these lighter weight pieces in linen, and I'm just going to show you a comparison. So these are also a linen, but they're a kind of a heavier weight linen. So I would wear these on the cooler summer days. And then this kind of thing, which these were just from John Lewis, very inexpensive. They are quite a lighter weight linen. And so for the hotter days, if you do like a trouser, that kind of thing is really good. They're slightly cropped. Again, they've got that nice elasticated waistband, but they do sit nice and flat on the front. I don't think they've got the yellow this year, but they've got about 3 other colours. They do them every year. They're not expensive. They are the kind of thing that will probably wash and wear after a couple of seasons, but you will get a couple of good seasons out of them. And on the really hot days, they are great, especially if you pair them, you know, with one of your lightweight linen tops or one of your lightweight cotton tops. They're really nice on a very hot day. So linen is a fabric that I really do like. As I say, it can be a bit contentious. Some people don't like the fact that it creases badly. It doesn't really bother me. I just accept that linen will crease. It is the look of it. You can buy linens which have been treated with a starch so that they do stay stiffer. But the problem with that is that kind of stiffer, heavier weight linen is going to be hot during the summer, during the sort of really hot summer months. So if you're not a linen fan, then I would say stick to the sort of lightweight cottons, silks and the viscoses and tencels that I've mentioned as well. So let's talk a little bit about shapes. I have done a little bit as I've gone through here. So these kind of tunicky style shapes work really well for giving you that sort of nice movement and fluidity and coolness on a hot summer day. One thing I would say is anything that you wear that's quite voluminous, I would then do the opposite on the other half of the body. So if you are wearing a sort of more floaty top, then I would wear a slimmer tapered trouser. It doesn't have to be anything too tight that's going to be too hot, but something that sort of skims closer to the body. And vice versa, if you're wearing a wide palazzo pant, then maybe wear something that's a little bit slimmer fitting on the top rather than the very much more voluminous shape. It just balances the body out better. Now, one thing that I really do love to have in my wardrobe is a little vest top. I find these, and I've got several of them, I've probably got about 4 or 5 of them. I find these very comfortable to wear in the summer. Both of these are in a lightweight linen, and I find that kind of shape much more flattering for me than something that is like a ribbed vest top. The ribbed vest tops are very popular, but unless you have got complete confidence in your shape, if they sit quite tight to the body, then they're going to show off any lumps and bumps. Now, if that doesn't bother you, then that's absolutely fine. I prefer something like this that kind of skims the body rather than sits tight to it. Now, I did mention about arms previously, and I know that a lot of women don't like to wear bare arms over a certain age. And what you will often see that I do is I'll put something very lightweight over the top of this on a hot day. And it might be something like this, which again is a very lightweight linen cardigan. So I'm not putting anything on that's too hot, but what I am doing is covering my arms, and I'm also giving myself that sort of leaner column look, which I did mention in the last video that I did about skirts, so I will link that for you. It works very well to flatter the body shape. So something like that for me is really useful to have in the wardrobe during the summer. Very, very lightweight top piece. And other things that I might use is something like this kind of very floaty linen duster coat. Again, it's almost weightless. This was a piece which my husband bought for my birthday last year from Eileen Fisher. So again, it was expensive, but it did go into the sale and it might still be around somewhere reduced. So I will look out for it for you. But again, she does do these beautiful sort of featherweight linens. So something like that again works really well as a top piece without being too heavy. I'm also going to slot in here a picture because I can't find the item. I've put it away somewhere and I don't know where it is, and I would like to find it because it's very hot outside at the moment. But I have a little silk poncho which I wear over a vest top that works really well as well, because the vest top is actually a little bit more fitted and I don't want to show off that sort of really tight to the skin vest look. So I put over it this beautiful little silk poncho, and because it's very lightweight and floaty, it keeps me nice and cool. The other option is something like this, and this is from a brand called Poetry, and they do some beautiful sort of lightweight pieces for the summer. In fact, this, where's it gone? This little vest top is also by Poetry, so they do a lot of these sort of linen pieces, and they also do these kind of lovely pastel-y washed out shades for the summertime as well. And this one is just a little lightweight. You can wear it as a shirt, but I tend to wear it more as a jacket over the top of something. And then the final option again is this one, which I've had probably for about 7 or 8 years, since I first discovered Eileen Fisher. I bought this when I bought one of her tank silk dresses, which has kind of narrow straps, wide enough to fit my bra underneath, but it is quite bare. And this over the top of it just gives you that sort of you can see the body underneath it, and it gives you the nice shape, but it's really nice and light and airy. And I've worn this again on hot summer days when I want to wear something that is quite bare, but I don't want to look too bare. So that kind of thing works really well as well. This is kind of on the same theme as the silk poncho that I mentioned. And then things like the caftan that I'm wearing, a caftan shape works really well in this hot weather as well. I'm just wearing this one today because it is very hot with nothing else, but if I did want to wear it, say out in the evening, I might pop a pair of white trousers on it. And again, because it is sort of floaty, although this one is kind of cleverly pulled in with an elasticated side seam, but so I might wear it with a pair of slim trousers, just to give the illusion that the body is as slim as that all the way up and down. So that's a little bit on shapes and a little bit on fabrics. Now I wanted to just mention a couple of other things which tend to be sort of tricky summer issues. The first one is about hair. And by hair, I don't mean this hair, I mean body hair. I have found a little gem of a product which you can whisk away any unwanted hair very simply. And I actually use this on my arms because I do have quite hairy arms, not at the moment, they're beautiful because I've just used this on them. But anywhere where little hairs sprout, this is great. It's called the Hollywood Browser. And I've had a couple of these. They come like that, they fold up, and you can literally just use them anywhere where you want to dispose of any little bits of hair. Great on the chin as well if you have any there, or any fine hairs on the face that you want to get rid of. So I'll link that. That is a little godsend. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about hot flushes as well, because if it's hot and you're having a hot flush, it's like double the temperature. So there are a couple of things which can help with that, and I have mentioned about fabric, but other things that are really useful to have around are something like a facial spray, and I use this Tropic Vitamin Toner. I use it as a toner as well, but it's also really nice on a hot day just to give yourself a little bit of a freshen up as well. and it treats the skin at the same time. I will link that in the description box for you as well. And obviously if you're having hot flushes and you are very hot, it can tend to sort of melt away the makeup as well. So in the summertime, I'd recommend that you go for lighter layers, and perhaps rather than wearing a heavier foundation, something like a tinted moisturiser. Another product which I really wanted to recommend to you, which is kind of like a tinted moisturiser, but it's also a sunscreen as well. And that is this one. It's the Tropic, it's called Sunshade, and it is a tinted serum, but it's got an SPF of 50 in it. And the other thing that I really like about this is if you are hormonal and you're prone to some redness or perhaps breakouts as well, it's really good on sensitive skin, and it also calms redness and flare-ups, and it's made from 99% natural ingredients. So if you do like a product that is very natural, a product that is vegan, that is not tested on animals, then this kind of thing will work really well for you, perhaps rather than a heavier foundation. And as I say, because it's got your SPF in there as well, it's protecting the skin as well. And then you might not think that cream products are a good idea in the hot weather, but I will often use a cream product and then layer a little bit of powder over the top of it. I really like to have a cream blusher and then layer a powdered blusher over the top of that, because that sets it and kind of helps it to stay put. I also, whenever I'm doing eye makeup, I use a long-lasting eye cream underneath any powders that I use. The one that I've used for years is by Bobbi Brown, but they have changed it. It used to come in a little pot and it now comes in a stick. I will link it for you. But Laura Mercier do one as well, and what I usually do is get one that's quite a neutral colour, neutral light colour, that I put on over the eyelid, and then I will layer powder over the top of that in, you know, whatever colours that I want to use. And that does help the eyeshadow last longer as well. And then two other things that I wanted to mention. One is about, some women say to me, well, I don't like wearing skirts and dresses in the summer because my legs are so white, or perhaps they've got veins, or they're bruised, or anything, you know, or they're very dry. That's another thing that can happen as you get older. Your skin dries out, and you find that especially on the legs where the skin is quite thin over the shins, you find that they do get quite dry. So I wanted to recommend to you another product. I'm going to pop in a picture of it here, and this is the Instant Glow Perfecting Leg Serum. You can use it on the rest of the body as well, but the great thing about this is it gives you a little bit of colour, but it also masks bruises, and it has arnica in it, so it does help to heal the bruises as well, and it hides any dry patches that you've got and evens out any blotches. And it's also got in it coffee butter, which hydrates and firms the skin. So it's a bit of a wonder product, and I haven't got mine here because I've literally just ordered another one. I've used up the one I already had. So as I say, I will link that for you in the description box as well. And then the final thing that I wanted to talk about was feet, because I do suffer with hard skin on my heels. I've battled with them for ages, and I have found two things which have worked absolutely brilliantly. I actually saw it in a video from somebody else, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to try it out. I was influenced, and so I bought two products which have been absolutely fantastic. One of them is a foot file. I'll pop a picture in for you here. Mine's in the shower at the moment, and I do use it at the end of my shower when my feet have got quite wet, and I use it to get off the hard skin. Now, it's quite intense. It is a little bit like a cheese grater, so I actually find it works better on wet feet than dry feet. And you need to just be a little bit gentle with it when you first start using it, but it is brilliant. And the other product is one that I use after the shower when I've dried my feet. I've got it here. It's called Carousel Intensive Foot Repair. Now I've used a couple of different ones. This one is probably the best one that I have ever used. Once I get out of the shower, I smother this all over. It's got a funny, slightly, I'd say almost like petroleum jelly, that kind of feeling to it. So I do wash it off my hands afterwards, but I do rub it into my elbows as well because they get quite dry too. And I have found this has been absolutely brilliant. I actually have feet that I'm happy to wear sandals in now rather than constantly wearing something which is covered up on the foot, which obviously you don't want to do when it's very hot either. So those are all of my top tips on keeping cool in the summer months and feeling confident when you go out and get dressed. I hope that you found them useful. I wanted to very briefly mention as well the product which I released last week, which is my Ultimate Outfit and Wardrobe Guide. If you haven't seen it already, I'm going to put a link down in the description box. Just to say, it is everything that you need for getting dressed because it talks about body shapes and tips to dress your body shape. It talks about wardrobe essentials and how to adapt those for you, because I don't believe in those top 10 lists of must-have that you should have in your wardrobe, because we're all different. We all need different things. So I've given you some ideas and I've told you how to adapt them to suit you and your body shape. It has 150 outfit formulas in there that you can copy and adapt to suit yourself. So endless ideas for outfits. And it's also got a wardrobe checklist and a diary template for you to use for planning your outfits. So it's had rave reviews. I've had people that have absolutely loved it. So I'm going to link that for you in the description box as well. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will get back to you. And other than that, I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.